I always walk my clients through a process saying, okay, what is, and everything for everybody, it's unique, right?
Right.
It's unique to that person, unique to that family, unique to that culture. There's so many things, but what are the universal things? And it is to envision what it is that you wish, and then to actually set a plan. And what I do is that healthy piece, the healthy retirement. So I combine both sides together. So envision, and then set that plan, and then put in action steps so that the client can achieve that. Because it's wonderful to dream, which is the envisioning. It's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful to plan, but if you don't implement it, that's the key to be able to live that and start that journey.
Welcome to I Think I Can podcast. My name is Luella Young. I am a woman who believes that we, like wine, get better with age. Age brings us wisdom, intuition, and a level of sophistication that is beyond the reach of youth. I am here to tell you that living a luxuriously rich and fulfilling life is in your reach. I Think I Can podcast will teach you to think differently in order to get different results. Allow me to show you how to do life effortlessly. This podcast is for the woman who is tired of playing by the rules of society, community, religion, parents, and partners. I Think I Can is all about becoming brave, authentic, purposeful, and strong. Listen weekly and you will find yourself living a life you could have only once dreamed of. Thoughts drive our physiology, so channel your thoughts with me into a life truly worth living. Enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to I Think I Can podcast. We are on episode 42. And today I have Nancy Schwartz with me. Nancy is the founder and transformational strategist of Envision Healthy Retirement. Now, after spending her career in corporate leadership roles, she decided she wanted to do life differently and subsequently founded the successful retained search company, SearchExecution. Nancy's innovative and solution-oriented approach to solving complex issues is what has earned her high praise and recognition to date. Interestingly, my goodness, I can't speak today, but here we go. Interestingly, Nancy is a classically trained ballerina who has worked for nationally known ballet and modern companies. Nancy thus used her skills in nuanced movement, discipline, artistry, and the importance of balance. So, in summary, why I invited Nancy to the podcast is because she is such an advocate for personal growth and enrichment and has done the work to create more tools in her toolbox to help women transform, including certifications from Tiny Habits, Retirement Options, HeartMath, and the Health Coach Institute, just to name a few. So here we go. Enjoy. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to spend lunchtime period with you and your audience. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
And where am I getting you? Where are you from, Nancy? Where are you living?
I'm in New England.
New England.
So I'm in Connecticut, which is
Okay.
right outside of New York City. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, so let's start off and just sort of break the ice with asking you, what is your most or one of the most memorable I Think I Can moments?
Well, I think I'm living in it now. I think
Hmm.
I thought about building this company, and launching Envision Healthy Retirement. So it's been quite a journey, and really, I'm a disruptor, as you well know. And so to try to disrupt the marketplace a little bit and really support people on their transformation,
Yeah.
predicated with health, right? Because we
Mm.
know that health is the driver in many in life, right? Health is a
Mm.
driver in life,
Yeah.
whatever you're pursuing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, exactly. It's healthy mind, healthy body, and
Mm.
yeah, that's the power, that's the energy that you have to go forward with your dreams, which is something we talk a lot about here. And so having sort of a vision of healthy, what a healthy retirement could look like. I mean, it's something that I think many of us, even in your 40s, well, I mean, we don't really even think about that. We're just so much in uh the busyness of life that we don't even
Mm.
have this vision. But what what would you recommend that women's, like, how do you start building that vision, and when should we start even thinking about retirement?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And this is predicated on the financial industry because
Mm,
they've really set the bar, and it's great because they have organized all the financial packages and or the company that you're working for. But what they're very well aware of is the fact that they don't have any what I call you planning. And
mm,
I think that, to your point, um, young professionals, business experts, in their 40s, 50s, it's pedal to the metal. It's survival, right? You're
mhm,
24/7, 7 days a week, if you want that type of lifestyle. And what the financial industry has always driven the drum by saying, start saving early. And
mhm,
I say the same thing, but does anybody do it? No.
mhm.
So I always say that I think it's important to have a healthy, long vision, right? Starting in your 40s, to think about what it is that you want to do in retirement. But sometimes that seems so far away. It's just an intangible,
Mhm.
unless there's some sort of merger or acquisition or some sort of crisis whereby there's an urgency, right?
Yeah.
But I can tell you that I think if you are late 50s or early 60s, I think you really have to start to be very meticulous in honoring yourself and to really think about what is it. And so I always walk my clients through a process saying, okay, what is, and everything for everybody, it's unique, right?
Right.
It's unique to that person, unique to that family, unique to that culture. There's so many things, but what are the universal things? And it is to envision what it is that you wish, and then to actually set a plan. And what I do is that healthy piece, the healthy retirement. So I combine both sides together. So envision, and then set that plan, and then put in action steps so that the client can achieve that. Because it's wonderful to dream, which is the envisioning. It's
Mhm.
wonderful to plan, but if you don't implement it, that's the key to be able to live that and start that journey, right? And
Yeah.
life is an evolution, right? Life constantly evolves. So to have those type of transformational experiences, so that throughout the decades of your retirement, because we're all living longer and longer, you'll have those skill sets to carry you forward.
Yeah, skill sets, you can even replace that word with tools too,
Absolutely.
in a
Hmm.
sense. Yeah, because I'm just thinking, depending on what your goal is, you may want to, I don't know, like, take some coursework even,
Of
you
course.
know. Yeah. Especially if you're thinking of doing, I'm guessing sort of what you did in terms of building a company,
Hmm.
surrounding what your dream job would be, more or less. So maybe explain how you came to do what you're doing right now, which is sort of like, the I think I can, like, I kind of like this idea of post-retirement doing this sort of work. And yeah, so what was the process like for you?
Well, I spent 40 years in corporate, and I was with a global management company, and then I went out, as you suggested, and built my own company for, I think, about 12 years, very successfully, in retained search. And
what does that mean exactly?
Retain search.
Yeah.
So that's a company that will retain you for a particular role. So it's we will go look out for a division president, or there's a lot of research and analysis about the marketplace. There's evaluation of the different players in the marketplace. There is also some quantitative data. It's very involved, and depending on the level of the person. So we could work at the division level, we can work at the C-suite or board level. So, and it's all driven by industry sectors, right? So
okay,
could be finance, consumer. I love the science and technology piece of it, but I also did a lot of finance. So it's pretty involved, and there's a lot of chefs in the kitchen, let's just put it that way. So it's balancing all of that as well, right? So, but, I think my pivotal moment was, one night in my office, and I had all these statistics to put together and a report to put together for a client. And out of nowhere, absolutely out of nowhere. I mean, I'm thinking about, statistics and all this kind of stuff, and hurry, because, oh my gosh, it's going to be 3 a.m., hello, why even go to sleep? Because it's due and presentation and all this kind of stuff. Out of nowhere, these thoughts came to me like, who am I? And what am I doing? And I was so burnt out for years and years and years. I'm the breadwinner in my family, and have had a lot of responsibility in my life. And but that's all great. That's all great. And my career is sort of marked by decades, right? So I don't know why, it just came out that way. But I was thinking, holy moly, Nancy, I don't think I can sustain this pace, right, for another decade. And so that sort of started me thinking about, wow, well, what do I want to be doing? And the thought of retiring was, I was absolutely allergic, like the rest of the world. Retirement is just a horrible, horrible word.
Yeah.
And all the coin phrases that they use, I don't like any of them anyway. And I think that we're doing ourselves a disservice, because the quote traditional retirement doesn't serve us in today's society, right? So we're changing the culture of what it should feel like. And so I always tell my clients, you can do anything. You can absolutely do anything. If you want to build another company, go forth. If you want to be a philanthropist, or if you want to do volunteer work, and it doesn't have to be on a global scale, and it doesn't have to be a tiny little micro in your home. It could be at the community level. It could be anywhere, and it could be anywhere in the world now because of technology, right? So we're so fortunate, that we have the opportunity to, find our fulfillment, right? Because sometimes work is, you don't always love it every day, right? It's kind of sometimes you have to do it, right? So some days are better than others for me. And I think for others in your audience, maybe. And also, I think it's about finding sort of something that's bigger than you, right? And I knew that I wanted to operate again because I love it. And I knew I wanted to help guide business experts, because that's the world I've been in for so many years. But what? And so I had to have that journey to be able to help them. So, right. So the guide is usually always the person that's completed that journey, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, and it's similar in the dancing world too. For instance, if you had that role and I'm coming in and learning it, you're going to tell me everything. You're going to tell me about the steps and the choreography and why you wore that tutu and why you pause the music this way, and this partner was good, and don't you, all these little tidbits that I would never know had I just looked at a video, or had you just said, oh, well, just pick up the steps and go forth, right? So there's all this intricacy, and that's what I find with healthy retirement, is that there's so many moving parts, right? So there's so many moving parts, and it's hard. It's really, really hard. And this is not for the faint of heart. Getting older.
No. I mean, as you explained that too, I just thought, wow, yeah, like it's so true. Like even for the mothers out there that are going into retirement, it's like, your skill set of as a mother, what kind of infrastructure can I place that skill set in that's also going to be very fulfilling? Because that's another big thing. It's like, not only does your corporate world, like, doesn't need you anymore, or putting you out to the pasture sort of thing, but also your adult kids don't really need you as much anymore either, really. I mean, like, sometimes that's not true, but one would hope that they've spread their wings and are on their own. So yeah, you're left with like, who can I serve in a way that serves me back, right? Because I think happiness is the genesis of happiness is really like serving others, while serving ourselves, really. So
that's the finding of the contentment, the joy, all those good words, that because you've taken the spotlight, really, if you will, off yourself, so that you can go help others. But then it's sort of a reflection that it does warm you totally, because you've done something special for whatever that thing that you do so well, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
So I was just thinking, as you say that, let's put some context into the picture, in terms of, like, could you possibly describe, a particular client that you had where, she was struggling and came to you, and just sort of like take us through a bit of the journey.
Yeah, sure. One pops to mind. Her name is Nancy, same as mine. So I don't know if that was coincidence or whatever. I have no clue. But she's an extraordinary executive in her own right. She has a very sophisticated landscape design business, 4 children. And with her husband, she's built this business, and it's been kicking butt and taking numbers for years. She also, at the time that she came to me, she was a sandwich generation person, right? So she's also caring for her mother. She is the person in the family that's been, if you will, anointed. And if for your audience, and I know, but that's a 24/7, round the clock, crisis management type of role, in addition to all this other stuff that's going on.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because that is so common as well, Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of experience with that myself, for a variety of different reasons. So I really have compassion for how draining that can be. And anyway, so Nancy came really for a metabolic reset, but nearing retirement, but not quite there yet. But wanting to get a lot of the stuff that I teach in the metabolic reset crosses over. So we did a lot of cross-pollination between the 2 programs, just because of her. She was so curious. She was really so curious. And so what happened was that all of a sudden her 4 children are beautifully in college. Her last one left. And so all of a sudden, this is someone who's also socially very committed and very involved in her community, like as if she doesn't have enough jobs, as if, right? Amazing. And she's a fundraiser, and I don't know how she does it. And so all of a sudden she found herself with pockets of time, right? Because the children, yes, the children still needed her. Believe me, we got a lot of calls while we were talking.
Yeah.
Which one is this that needs what,
Right.
But what she end of the day, she said, Nance, what I would have done is to just hammer down on the business or hammer down on more caregiving for the mother, that type of thing. And I realized that we were able to work through this. So to put herself first, she's never done that. In fact, she even said to me, wow, I don't think I've ever been on the table. I'm first because my children have been first. The business has been first, or obviously the caregiving, her charities, all this kind of stuff. So that was really pivotal for her. And then really nutritional eating, right, to supplement her mind and her body. So we kind of worked through all of that and carved out space to really calendar. I'm a big believer in calendaring and get that yoga. There was she lives in a beautiful climate. So she was able to go in COVID safely to a park to be with others. So there was community, but at a distance because it's COVID. They're all very safe. Outdoors, and she cherished those. I think it was a twice a week program that she said it just made her better in the business, and so we work through many things like that. And what's so interesting about this particular client is that she, first of all, her appetite for learning was just really extraordinary. She truly wanted to change how she was treating herself and make everything more healthy and more sustainable, right? But then because she has this business, she taught all of these, what you say is the tools. I call it the tools and techniques. So all of this to her employees. They had a very rough, procurement was very difficult. Supply chain was very difficult. She had employee deaths. I mean, it was challenging, right? And even harvesting of employees was really finding people, right, to work, and skilled workers, right? Skilled workers. So she taught them all these things, which was so great. And then all of a sudden her family got this as well. So the beauty here is that, this is why I love this business is I'm teaching one, but now the company, which is a substantial company that she and her husband have, as well as her family. And, obviously she picked, I'm sure picked and chose which ones for whom, but, I just love that. And she's thriving, the business is going forward. And her children are very happy and healthy. Everyone's healthy, fortunately.
Oh, great. Okay. So what does her retirement look like then in the end?
She's a ways away.
Oh, okay.
I think that, we did talk about this. There's a potential to keep working in this business for quite some time because they have built it right. Yeah. There could be a possibility of one or other husband or wife who step away from this, right? So it could be that they could sell it and work in something else. They're exploring possibilities. So this is the stage that they're at right now, or is keeping their eyes wide open, right? Keeping their eyes. They had they had rolled in at the time, I think 2 other companies. So they were in the integration stage of expansion. So they were far away from letting go of this business. I think it's a very valuable business, which hopefully, whether her children will return to this or not, she wasn't thinking they would. And that's also a challenge for, a family-led business. Who's going to take over? How do you hire these people? So, it's a discovery process. It's a discovery process, but the awareness is there. And that's the key, right? The awareness is there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I was just thinking while you were speaking about, all the different like skills, tools that you incorporate, like when I listed in your bio here, tiny habits, HeartMath, like would you say they're all equally as powerful, or it sort of depends on the person, or maybe you can even give a little brief description, because maybe not everybody's familiar, let's say, with HeartMath. What is that? Tiny habits. I mean, it's gotten a lot of yeah, a lot of publicity, these books out there about habits these days, but maybe just touch briefly on each one and how they've helped you in your work.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tiny Habits, BJ Fogg's company out at Stanford, he's really one of the first to the table, I guess,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word, thanks to his amazing institution and lab that he runs. And it's a global effect now. It's just amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, I mean, to explain to the audience, and maybe you've had other podcasters on who've talked about it, but it's, you know, making a habit to set up the behavior. What is it that you want? But making it so tiny
Mm-hmm.
and so simple
Yeah.
that you're successful. And there's a whole mathematics, there's an algorithm behind all of that. But basically, small, and smaller, so that
Mm-hmm.
it's successful for the client. So when I'm working with clients, I have to be very sensitive to trying something, right? And then if it doesn't work, or they get annoyed at it, or whatever it is, I'll give you a fun something that just happened 2 weeks ago. So I was introducing this gentleman, lovely human, who is very data driven, and we were doing a HeartMath coherence, and showing him how to put your hand on your heart and to settle the system. He's had a lot of, many years of corporate stress. And what does he do? He gets out his cell phone and he's like, well, I want to look at my Apple Watch and I want to see the variables of how my heart is working. So I didn't have the heart to say, I think there might be an alternative way. So I let him do that. And he saw that, yes, there was a sense of coherence, but just a little bit, because we only did it for a couple hours. And then the following week, I did another breath technique with him. And I said, would it be possible if you could just be in that experience? And indeed it was. So, you have to be very sensitive to how people react. I think you have to go with their natural inclinations and then kind of see how we can adjust forward.
Yeah. 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 No, the whole, it's something that people just, I don't know, I find they seem to balk it a little bit. Like the whole idea of, tiny habits, or I call them micro goals when I'm
Yes.
working with my clients too. But like, because they just want the big one, the big goal so badly, is that,
Right.
and but it's so important, to for me, the relevancy of doing the tiny micro goals is sort of this whole idea of, wow, I do have advocacy over my behavior. I do have control of my thoughts in my mind. I mean, and then once they get the momentum, and once they
Right. It's the
realize,
momentum.
yeah, that they do, it's sort of you can't stop it then. It's just
Yeah.
like, I think I can.
Right. Right. No, I love that. And, it's really like the weekend warrior. Why does the weekend warrior always get injured? Because they're trying to do, I'm making it up, I don't really know, but like
Yeah.
a marathon, and
Right.
hello, we haven't even walked out our door yet, and we don't
Right.
have the right running shoes, and we're not doing the right training to do all of this. So again, it's setting, just like you said, it's setting yourself, the person, your audience, ourselves up for success by these small incremental, setting up momentum for success. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and yeah, so like you feel like, it's sort of like you've acquired these skills, and, you might pull out this one yourself. You might pull out one tool for one person that's very appropriate, another tool for another person that's very appropriate. Um, but you see the difference it makes helping.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's a process, right? So
Mhm.
I've built this 12-week proprietary transformation, and it's beautiful to see where somebody starts, right?
Mm.
And then as we go through the different modules and the different pillars, where they are now. So and
Mhm.
to see people blossom, to see people, you know, earn, because they've done all this work. So
Yeah.
earning where they want to go and how they want to do it. It's so joyous to me. It's just so
Yeah.
joyous. Yeah.
And how long have you been doing this, Nancy?
Um, well, not long.
Okay.
We
Okay.
launched the company in January.
Okay.
But I've, obviously had a lot of client and
Mhm.
company experience for 40 years prior to this. So yeah.
Oh, for sure. Okay. So, prior to pressing the record button, Nancy and I spoke a little bit about, how timely this could be in terms of, we're just on, I guess maybe even still within 24 hours of finding out that our Queen Elizabeth II has passed. I think after 7 decades of, you know, ruling. And so we thought it would be a little bit of a tribute. We could put this episode towards her and her journey, and how this all, our topic about how she I guess, you know reigned so eloquently
Mm.
as a leader. So I'll let you take over there, Nancy, now, because I think, your perspective of this is, you know, I think you see it in such a way that, maybe some of us don't, in terms of her being this leader.
Mm, mm. Well, I'm very interested in how you and all your audience see it from Canada. I'm just one person here in the US, but I just think she's such an extraordinary human, and her legacy is extraordinary that she's built. I heard that she, was told that she will be queen when she was 10. I mean, imagine.
Hmm.
I just think that that's holy moly, right? And
Yeah.
this is a person that's really, she's such an example, and that's why I wanted to share this with you,
Hmm.
and also your audience, because she embodies what I believe healthy retirement should be, in as much as her service, not only to her country, but to the global leaders, but also
Hmm.
she inspired the small person, right? That there's such
Hmm.
loyalty to her, and
Hmm.
her resilience, right? Her
Yeah.
resilience throughout. Can you imagine having a job for 70 years? I mean, it's
Yeah.
job. I'm sorry, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's fancy job, but it
Yeah.
is it's 24/7, right?
Ugh.
She's always on call, I would assume, right?
Hmm.
So I think that's that. Her perspective, her ability in historic times. Think of all the US presidents, all the prime ministers, all the different
Hmm.
global leaders,
Hmm.
and so her ability to change with the times, right? We talked about adversity in her family, and we talked
Yeah.
about through social movements and moving through technology and political concerns and cultural, right?
Hmm.
So many things that have passed in front of her window, in front of her, what she sees and how she needs to lead. And the other thing is, here she is, right? Somebody who never wanted the job, really. She didn't go, oh, it's me. She was handed it here in a very sad time. Her father passed away, and she had to just lead forward. And here she is, having to lead with no clout, right? She has no political, she's influencing, right? So, so that's, and she came at an age to be a queen, and handed this huge empire, right? The empire, and then she had to let go because slowly this was dissolved. So all these skill sets, I just point this out because the skill sets are what we need in healthy retirement. So I just find this is just, daydreaming about this morning in my yoga. I was thinking, upside down, like, oh yes, she does this too, so her mental strength, right? And her perseverance. And my husband reminded me, his parents served, one of them was British and served in England, and how the Queen's family and the Queen and her family stayed in London in World War II. I mean, lead by example, man. I mean, that is like, whoa. And think of was it 7 years of bombing or some, I don't know if I have it statistically right, but a long time, right? A long time. And then I heard about how she was so structured in her time, right? So she had a very rigorous morning and an evening ritual, always getting up at 7:30. That was her time. Now, I hope they gave her a little bit of, if there was a party the night before, I hope they gave her another half hour. I hope so, please. I hope you did. And she would always have the Earl Grey tea, So this is, but to show everyone that to sustain the quality of health that she had. Imagine,
I know,
3 days before you pass away or go to the other side, or whatever one would like to use. Here she is meeting the new prime minister. Holy moly, it's amazing, right? It's amazing.
It is. It just shows you that age is simply a number,
right?
And that is why I want people to start thinking about, like retirement, but like, I mean, 50 post 50, whatever can be the best years of your life. Like, look at her. That's 40. Was it 46 years? I think she was 96.
96, yeah.
Yeah. So 46 years, and I just use 50 as like
the
midlife, the menopause and all that stuff. And so, but like it's just it's incredible to think you could almost have equal amount of years left by using the right tools. Now, I think, mentally as well, like, I mean, it's a gift and a curse at the same time. I think the way that she was constantly challenged, to be a thought leader. And I mean, the poor woman, I wonder, I'd be interested to know how she did, allow herself to quiet the mind. I mean, I don't know. Did she do meditation? She
took tea. That's what I've been reading about her. And they say it was like a what I call like, this thing cannot move on my calendar. It's like a non-negotiable. I will have tea at 5. And that was her way of, I think, decompressing, right? Because as you said, you never knew what her day would really be. You know what I mean? Even though it was highly cultivated in terms of her schedule, right?
But even, even you saying that, like, I think it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's a nature walk or meditation whatever it took to quiet the mind.
Mhm.
And that means, yeah, like I'm sure she wasn't scrolling through her phone, right? I mean, like that's the thing. Quieting the mind is simply, you know, is simply focusing on, I don't know, like as we know, it's focusing on nothing really. I mean, it's allowing the thoughts to come and go, and without judgment, and perhaps focusing on one thing, whether it's your breathing, but just, yeah, just decluttering. I think decluttering really is what you're doing. Decluttering the subconscious in a way that, you can find things again in your mind. You can pull out the tools that you need, and bring clarity to your life. It's sort of like what you said, almost. It's like these aha moments
Mm.
that a person might have. I don't know how that was downloaded to you, like, during the midst, like it was maybe a bit of a, like when you're doing all your stats and like deadlines. It's sort of like maybe divine intervention, set forth and allowed you to sort of see a light, and yeah, stop and reflect. But yeah, we all need that. And it's because we need the energy. We need the
Yeah,
energy
absolutely. Yeah.
to
To
be
live.
able to
Mhm.
yeah, like the energy, the physical energy, but also the mental energy,
The whole
um
package,
which
right.
yeah, of course, comes, food is information, food
Mhm.
is health, lifestyle. But it's sort of like, yeah, we exercise in order to get energy. We eat healthy in order to get energy and feed our mitochondria, in a way that serves them the best, in terms of nutrients and minerals, and so that they can have the right enzyme reactions, and all that. It's there's a method in the madness,
Mhm.
and so, but yeah, just to have the energy to place our awareness where it needs to be within the mind, right? It's sort of like shedding, like awareness is really energy. And
Mhm.
so it's focusing the light on this idea of, um well, happiness is from within, but also, um I can choose to think a thought that brings me joy, and energizes me and motivates me, rather than putting all your awareness on this whole, like, maybe the thousands of papers in front of me, and the doom and gloom, and whatever that might be, or my employees. And it's sort of like, okay, wait, no, slow, 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 and conserve the energy to focus on what is the truth here, and my level of control in my life.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
No, no, I love that. And I think just getting back to our beautiful queen,
mhm,
that her love of nature, and you can
mm,
do that slowing and focusing in nature. And you know that pouring rain, she went out, didn't matter. It was just amazing. I was watching last night. She was in a horse parade of some sort, and it's pouring for 2 hours. Here she's beautifully dressed
mm,
on a horse, which is no easy stance, and then for 2 hours. But maybe she got a lot of peace out of that, right? So maybe,
right.
and her love of the dogs, right? The love of the dogs,
Mhm,
and all the charity work that she did, right?
mm,
So the monarchy contributes to many, I think it's hundreds and hundreds of programs that they support. So
mhm, mm,
how beautiful is that, right? That she was part of
mhm,
all of that. Yeah.
mhm. So definitely it's someone, yeah, we can look up, as a role model when it comes
Yes.
to, yeah, taking care of yourself, and nurturing yourself while still, yeah, running the show in many ways.
Yes.
So So, well, is there anything else, Nancy, that you'd like to share with the audience in terms of, again, sort of, how you do help women in the company that you yourself run now?
Well, thank you. So no, I just think I think it's a process. It's not perfection. I
Right.
think exactly what you've talked about. Take the time, slow down. Again, we come back to there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
So choose
Mhm.
wisely, but that
Mhm.
requires reflection and time.
Mhm.
And I just want to be very encouraging to people that you, the audience, whoever is listening to this, can
Mhm.
have any type of retirement you want. It's your
Mhm.
choice, it's your right,
Mhm.
it's your birthright. And that may mean doing this or that. So everyone
Well,
is unique, and what matters most. I took this great class run by Exchange, and they had a program with Dr. Danny Friedland. He has now passed away, and it's called Living Well from Within. And he would always say, what matters most to you in this moment? So to ask
mhm.
that question, um, and something will reveal for sure.
Right. And like I think it's just a second opportunity, right?
It,
Like I
it,
mean,
it's a
because
beautiful opportunity. Yes.
let's face it, when we're 18 or 20 or, we think we know what we might like, but many of us get like caught up in life, I think, and just,
Hmm.
oh, now it's children. And like you mentioned, I was you were sort of the bread earner in your
Hmm.
relationship, and that's true of many women as well. So
Absolutely.
so that it's not like they're gonna just like, yeah, start like, I don't know, quit their job and start studying something else, or create a new company in the midst of young children
Hmm.
and all of that. But no, okay, now that
Right.
that's all kind of over and done with, what do I really want? And that question alone is so difficult.
It's incredibly difficult. People think it's so easy, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, you let
Mm.
me know how it's going for you because
Right.
you can, you know, yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
requires so much thought, right? And really, and I think the other thing is it requires you to be really honest with yourself and really, really honor yourself. What is it that you really want, right?
Mhm.
Because as you suggest, this is another 50 years on the top, uh,
Mhm.
and a chance of beautiful opportunities, right?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, coming from a place of self-honor. And yeah, there's so many things that come to my mind when you speak. It's like you're saying it's a process,
Mm-hmm.
but um, there it will come. And again, so
Mm-hmm.
having the
Mm-hmm.
faith and trust,
Mm-hmm.
um, to know that you're evolving over time.
Mm-hmm.
It's and when we never stop growing, and that's the wonderful thing about it too. Like some people maybe feel that I'm sort of done like in my development, but
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 no. It's exciting to think that we have so much growth, in our mindset and on an emotional level as well, and a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual level as well. So
Yeah,
lots of good
I
stuff.
love that. I love that what you say about that, because I think that for my clients, they're so exhausted. They're like, I'm
Mhm.
done. I don't want any
Mhm.
more. They consider that work, right? And
Right.
I certainly did. So that's, I was like,
Mhm.
oh, you know,
Mhm.
but the farther I've gone away from that side and the more
Mhm.
I've come on this side,
Mhm.
okay, what can the well teach me today? I'm really excited to learn, so
Mhm.
um,
Mhm. Yeah, no.
having that appetite, right, for the growth.
Right. That motivation, that drive, I think we all still have it. Like we don't want to
It's
suppress
there,
it.
but
Yeah.
where,
Yeah,
right?
it's just maybe it's just been suffocated, I think,
I'm
you
sure it
know,
has. Yeah.
over the years of being a mom and the corporate world, etc. So, alrighty, Nancy, I will let you get on with your day, and I'm so pleased that I found you out there on the web.
Thank you so
And
much for finding me. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I yeah, in terms of like we'll have all your links to where people can find you in the show notes. But yeah. Other than that, I wish you a good week and a pleasant retirement.
Thank you. Healthy retirement.
Healthy retirement. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks once again for joining me on another great episode of I Think I Can podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe below so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And until next week, treat each day like it was your last, because each new day is a privilege that we shan't take for granted. Cheers and have a great week. Bye-bye.